Thank you all so much for your support, patrons. This is a quick behind-the-scenes video from earlier this week when I spent a few hours on the Matanuska Glacier via helicopter photographing 2 different ice caves in order to get photos like this. I think somewhere in here there's a calendar photo. It started off on Tuesday, April 9th with a 7-minute helicopter ride from Sheep Mountain Lodge on the Glen Highway, just an hour and a half from my home in Palmer. Mark, the lodge owner and helicopter pilot, of course, and one of his employees and I flew over the Matanuska Glacier where we saw it had this fresh snow on all the crevasses. It was a beautiful, beautiful sunny day, but with a dampling of cloud cover, which to me makes it much more stunning rather than just plain blue sky. You can see here tracks leading up to our first ice cave. And after we landed, we walked towards the cave. At the entrance, we did our very best to keep our foot tracks out of that entrance area so it wouldn't look all messed up when we photographed it from inside. So we took to the far left as much as possible. Once Mark was inside, he photographed me making these particular photographs of the hoarfrost above the entrance here. Now you have to realize that most every ice cave you ever go into, certainly every one I've ever been into, does not have this frost on it. This is really unusual because it means that somewhere at the end of the ice cave there's warm air coming in, which must be coming from, I don't know, the inner earth or something weird, period. Anyway, it's absolutely makes for a stunning look I've never seen before with this hoarfrost. Once inside this very tight cave, the 2 of them headed towards the back, which is only about 150 feet deep, allowing me time and room to set up my tripod. My idea here is that I want a lot of depth of field in order to get everything in focus. So I need to shoot it like f/16 or f/22, and because there's hardly any light in here, I need a long exposure so that I don't need to use a super high ISO. Therefore, a tripod is necessary, but it's quite difficult to set up on the hard and super slick ice and very tight area. I'm shooting most of this about a half a second at f/16 at ISO 100. We spent at least 45 minutes inside the cave, mostly shooting with a 14mm super wide angle lens. Mark had brought along a really powerful diving light, and this allowed us to light up the side walls where all this hoarfrost was in order to get these really interesting close-up views of the ice crystals. Very, very cool. Whenever I'm at a location like this, there's typically one really great photo to be had that I find right away. But then I'm always looking around and trying to find another angle so that things look different. Here's a couple of those angles, basically getting higher or lower and zooming in to isolate certain areas. Or this shot of Mark's employee in order to give scale. After this hoarfrost cave, we took off in the helicopter again, heading up the glacier for a real short flight up and over these magnificent, what I call ice falls, where the ice is rolling off a steep part of the land underneath it and spreading out. And we went around the corner to this second ice cave you can see behind Mark here. This is one of the largest I have ever been in. Must be over 100 feet high. I could tell from my last trip in here a few months ago that the ice had moved closer together, forming this archway. I decided to add a person in it to show scale. Everywhere you look in these caves, there's another photo to be made. So many patterns. I really like looking straight up in this particular cave. And because things were getting warmer, these icicles were forming on the outside of the cave as the water and snow melted. This is likely the last time this cave would be available this year. Every season of the year is a great time to be at Matanuska Glacier and the Glacier View area at Sheep Mountain Lodge. The lodge is fantastic, the food is superb, and the helicopter is right there. I highly recommend the visit here and stay a few nights. Tell them I sent you. Thanks again for your support of my work on Patreon.